area. And one of the sad things about it is that even though it provides like a huge amount of information on the daily life of people and how they worked and lived in Alexandria, one of the major that's a hippo. Hi guys, welcome back to the next edition of HiDefHistory as we join our friend Bayak and his adventures in ancient Egypt. We're going to be showing you around the town of Mareotis, right on the shore of Lake Mareotis. So right now we're in the temple of Sekhmet. Sekhmet was the Egyptian god of hunters. Her animal is a lion, so often we will see statues of a woman with a lion's head. So if you want to walk through these doors, there's two big statues right outside. So if you want to rotate the camera around, and you can see Sekhmet. There's her feet.
Oh, yeah, I see her. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to be on the controls today, so I've never played this game. So just, forgive me for all the horribly wrong things I do.
Oh, yeah. The internet is notoriously a kind and welcoming place.
I like her circle crown.
Yeah.
It's a bold statement.
Yeah. Very reminiscent of some of the halos you'll see in medieval imagery and Christian church artwork.
Yes.
Anyways, what we're going to be looking for here is a boat. We're going to get Donna out on the water.
Oh God.
She excels at water navigation.
Oh God, no, not in real life, and especially not in video games. I always die. Like if you ever played Sonic and it makes that noise like da na 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 na, you are dead.
Okay, so here are some boats. Hey Donna, I know there's a couple boats here that we could hop on, but I would like you to travel down the lake just a little bit.
Oh, okay, sure.
Follow the shoreline here.
Like slowly, or should I run?
Yeah, so what we're looking for is going to be the smallest kind of boat that is used in the game. It's just a simple reed boat without any
Like this
sails. Thing? Yeah, it'll look like that, except that it'll be in the water. There's one right there, right up ahead of you.
Oh, okay. No. Oh, yeah, that's a boat.
Yeah, right there. The one without the sails.
This one does not look seaworthy.
You know what? You would think. Now, this boat, as you can look and see at it, is made out of reeds. Papyrus reeds are, very common on the Nile River and deltas. It's a material that's in plentiful supply. It's lightweight, it's strong and stiff, and it's been used for millennia
to no, we're gonna make it. We're fine.
Craft vessels that can be used out on the water. So as Bayek uses his oar here to push himself along the bottom of the river, you can see what it would look like. Now the fun thing about this one too is that this design can actually still be in Egypt today. There are different parts of the country up and down the Nile River that will still use it. Okay, so why don't you just sort of find some open water and then give us a good spot where we can kind of get a glimpse of some of the surroundings here.
Oh God. Okay, I'll try. Oh God. Oh, are those fish?
Something like that.
Oh nope. I just knocked a whole bunch of them in the water. It's fine.
All right, so there you go. So right up ahead of us, through all the traffic of Alexandria, that's our destination for next episode of HiDefHistory. Make sure you come back and hit subscribe along the way so that you know when it's coming up.
So I can crash the boat somewhere next week.
There. So what we're looking at here is Lake Mareotis. Now Lake Mareotis is interesting because if you were to visit Egypt today, this lake as we see it does not exist. And there's a couple of interesting facts about it.
Am I in trouble? Someone's yelling at me.
Yeah, you sailed next to a boat that is crewed by soldiers of the Greek pharaoh, and they don't like you messing around with their stuff.
I'm not messing around. You know what? You could be nicer.
So while we're at it here, and you can look and see, here, just keep an eye on this boat.
Hello.
This boat right here is a trireme, which means that it is supposed to be manned by 3 banks of oars, primarily, the sails being not used for a whole lot. Now, in ancient times, a ship like that would have had up to 200 people on board. You think about a ship that small, and then the idea that there are 200 people right on top of it.
Sounds real uncomfortable.
Now, about 170 of those would be the rowers on each of the oars that would be in 3 separate rows, and that's what gave the trireme the tri in its name. Now the trireme is a classic in ancient naval warfare. It was a design that we see as early as
Am I going the right way? Where am I supposed to go?
No, you're just floating around the lake. Don't run into anything.
Fat chance.
Right?
Also, let's just be real. Those triremes, they had to smell great.
They did, and they're also sometimes considered to be engines of democracy, because in Athens, Greece, as one of the world's first democracies, most of the soldiers, regardless of their social station, were required to be rowers. And it's very hard to consider yourself a superior person when you are literally sweating on top of each other, you know? So, that's just one of those interesting asides. Now, as you'll notice, though, in here, they did not have any actual oars out. On a lake this size, they would have been less useful, although they still would have had them. Also, I think to just a gameplay decision, like having to have 170 moving parts on something like that would be incredibly difficult to kind of put all together. So, and if you think about it also, that means if you ever had to board a ship like that, they really only have about 20 soldiers kind of guarding the other 200. Now, Athens was the first power to use them. They had a navy of about 200 to 300 triremes at their height that they used to control the eastern half of the Mediterranean, including down the Nile River and into Lake Maeotis here. After all, Alexandria is founded by Alexander the Great and his Greek armies. Now, they are highly maneuverable boats and incredibly fast compared to other ships of war, so that they stayed useful for several centuries and led to the development of later types of galleys that would be used in the Middle Ages by Arabic and European sailors. As we're floating around here, let's see if we can find him. So you can see that trireme off to the right there. He's standing there. Okay, so one of the things I want to note here about these boats on this lake is that you'll see two different types of rigs being used. Now, a rig is what we use to refer to the sails that are used on these vessels. So up ahead here, we have two examples of what's known as the...
found a new club.
Yeah, we want to get out of here.
Oh no.
Yeah,
this is not that maneuverable. I gotta be honest with you. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry, boat. I didn't mean to hit you, boat. Just go.
The square rig boat Donna just ran into, and they're shooting
at
him.
Me.
is called a square rig, and the
you missed.
Their square rig is a very common configuration because it has a horizontal spar that runs across the mast. And then the sheet that hangs down from it is usually in a square shape. Also, it's called a square because the arm is square to...
Oh, are they following me?
The keel. Yeah, they're trying to run you over.
Oh my god, no. That's not necessary.
So, as Donna tries not to get sunk in her boat, because you can sink.
Great. I was just trying to get a nice view of the pyramids. They look very pretty in the distance.
Now square rigged masts are used from centuries before this time with Bayek up through the Age of Discovery. In fact, you'll see square rigged ships even on early steam vessels that were in the ocean. They would use the sails to help give them a little bit of extra boost, and they'd be square rigged too. And the benefit to a square rig is that they give you your boat's about to sink, dear. You might want to head towards the island.
Why is my boat all jacked up and stuff?
Because you're getting hit by the boat that's chasing you down.
If only I had a boat with sails.
Well, why don't we get over here?
Oh wait, my boat repaired itself magically.
No, it didn't repair itself. Look at everything sticking around there.
It's not black anymore.
Yeah, well, that's because he tried to set you on fire.
Oh, great. I love being set on fire.
Square rig sails would be something that you'd see throughout history, and the efficiency there is that they have is that they would give you the fastest ship possible for the least amount of sail. Okay, so that's why they were incredibly useful, and people use them a lot. From Vikings up in Scandinavia to the Europeans who traveled around the ocean.
They're really mad that I accidentally bumped on their boat.
Well, they might kill you.
How do I hit them?
R1.
Okay. Whoa! Whatcha? Oh yeah.
Look out! He's gonna get you.
Oh my god! He has much better armor than me. Stop it!
Does.
Go away! It was an accident. God! These people are touchy. Go back to your stupid boat. It wasn't even that nice.
Some time to get away from all this situation. Oh, he just shot you with his arrow.
Oh my god, why are they shooting me? This feels like a really aggressively unnecessary response.
You're right. Our military would be totally okay with a civilian vessel entering their waters, hitting one of their vessels, and then trying to flee. They wouldn't chase us
Bumped
all.
into. I didn't hit their vessel.
You say bump, they say deliberate provocation.
Oh, fudge muffins. I'm stuck in a corner over here. Okay,
but
over.
this guy climbs like nobody's business, so I think you'll be all right. He's trying to.
Here, but it's chickens. I'm crouched. They don't know where I am.
Yeah, I know they haven't lost you.
They haven't lost me?
No, they're there. They're looking for you, but I think you go there. So here, look down, see if there's a boat. There was a boat hanging out here earlier, off to your left, that maybe you could take if you wanted to. Now, just a warning as we swim out here, Donna, there are crocodiles in the area.
Are you kidding me right now?
No.
Were crocodiles indigenous to the Nile River?
Yeah, crocodiles hung out all the time. You still have to be wary of crocodiles.
I'm always wary of
shallow,
crocodiles.
broad river like this with lots of hiding places for them. Yeah, no, they would. They really enjoyed this.
I have to go back over there to get to the boat, so I'm gonna go this way instead.
All right, so as she's swimming here, let me tell you a little bit about Lake Mareotis because it's kind of an interesting thing. If you were to go to Egypt today, Lake Mareotis does not really exist. Nowadays, it's called Maryut Lake, which is just one of those examples of how names change over time. So what ended up happening to it, and what's interesting about the lake today is that it's not a freshwater lake. It is very shallow and very heavily salted with water from the Mediterranean Ocean. Whereas what Bayek is trying to swim around in here now, as she's, just going to try and steal this boat from this poor man.
It says to borrow. Can I have a ride, please? May I borrow your boat?
Excuse us.
You seem fine with it. I'm just gonna.
Forgive me.
It's fine. All right, look, we're off.
Okay. So, and the reason why it's a saltwater lake now versus the freshwater lake that she's sailing around in, stay away from the trireme too. You don't want to get them ticked off either.
There's so many things.
And is because the branch of the Nile that feeds into Lake Mareotis at this time silts up and eventually stops flowing. Because what ends up happening is that one of the functions of the Nile is that in order to have the fertile fields of irrigation that allowed Egypt to grow as a major population center in ancient times, is that it had to have its yearly floods and irrigations, which moved dirt consistently down the river towards the Mediterranean Ocean and created the delta that Alexandria sits on today. So what ends up happening, though, is that that dirt can pile up and continue to pile up, and it can get to such a large point that the water is no longer able to flow over it. Instead, it backflows and then starts a new wave. And that's what ends up happening here around the 5th century AD. The branch of the Nile that creates this lake gets blocked off by the silt that it's washing downstream, and eventually by a very long period, so over a period of 700 years, by 12th century AD, that branch of the river is actually dry. It no longer provides water to it, and it takes another 6 centuries for all the lake water in Lake Mareotis to evaporate and not be returned. So by the 18th century, there is no Lake Mareotis in here. And the reason there's a lake in there today and now is that in 1801, as the British were fighting the French in the Imperial Wars, they had the bright idea when they were laying siege to the city of Alexandria that they were going to cut a hole in the land, basically, that would allow the ocean waters to come into the old lake bed, fill it up, and block off access and flood a bunch of stuff that was built there in the city. And that's what the British did. Because, for the Empire.
I just wanted to get this nice view. Oh, and
Look
it's
at that.
gone. Because it's
Dawn on Lake Mareotis.
It's like visiting Egypt, but without all the aggressive sunburn and brain-eating scarabs.
Yeah. And eventually that salt water that they let in there did evaporate again. Right now, though, you can still go see it. It's a much smaller lake, and it's mostly there from some runoff from agricultural and irrigation stuff that they've built up since the 19th century.
What's this question mark for?
So the ship Donna here is borrowing is the other kind of sail that you'll see, and it's called a lateen sail, which is a triangular sail. Now, the biggest difference between a lateen sail and a square sail is that instead of running like perpendicular to the boat,
Oops.
You just knocked him off. I think he might have and then you drove away from him. Good
Oh,
job.
could I save him?
Probably
Swim
could have
to
let him
shore,
back
it's not
on the
too
boat.
far.
Yeah, no, the crocodile got him. He's dead.
Oh. He was eaten by a crocodile. That is rather unfortunate, but plus side, I was not eaten by a crocodile.
Now the advantage of
Crocodile.
the advantage of having a lateen sail like this is that because it runs sort of the length of the boat instead of across it, what you see happening is that you can swivel that sail around the mast, which means no matter which way the wind is blowing, you can adjust your sails to get the direction that you want to go. Whereas with a square sail, even though you can technically go faster with it, you can only go faster when the wind's blowing in the right direction. A lateen sail like the boat we're in, you don't go as fast, but no matter which way the wind blows, you're going to be going somewhere.
And you know what? The best method for getting away from Nile crocodiles.
Yeah, so stay away from that square sail and all that good stuff.
Okay, well, I mean, I feel like the number of things that were going to try to murder me was not advertised.
I think you're doing a great job.
Well,
I'm very proud of you. And notice how he has a crocodile hanging off the side of his boat.
Well, you know,
it's like revenge.
I didn't notice that, but now I feel super uncomfortable and afraid it's going to eat me, and that's what you get. You hang crocodiles off your boat. You asked for crocodiles to eat you. So really, this was all his fault. I had nothing to do with it.
Oh, yeah, it's you. So, it's just revenge for his crocodile brother's death.
It happens.
So as we are finishing our nighttime sail and we're heading off to the city of Alexandria, just one last note on the city, the Mareotis Lake. It is one that is renowned in ancient times for its wine production, and there's huge excavation going on right now of some of the industrial buildings that the Egyptians and Greeks built in this area at this time to produce and ship all of that wine. There's a kiln, the largest kiln found in the Greek world, that could create hundreds of wine jars in a single firing, and that just kind of gives you a sense of the production that was being used in this area. And one of the sad things about it is that even though it provides like a huge amount of information on the daily life of people and how they worked and lived in Alexandria, one of the major that's a hippo. The pyramid and the Sphinx and all the other amazing ruins and temples to the south in the Valley of the Kings, you're gonna crash into
I was getting off.
Full circle.
Oh, okay. Look, I even found Alexandria.
And as we get here, we're going to be wrapping up the history, high def history. I hope you enjoyed our boat tour of Lake Mareotis, and come back next time as we see what one of the wonders of the ancient world has to offer in Alexandria. Don't forget that if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a comment, give us a like and a share, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that we can keep on bringing you awesome videos of some of these great games we love to play. All right, thanks for watching, guys.